This video is notes that you are going to take to guide you through practice for target 4B, which we have evidence on tomorrow. It is multiplying and dividing rational numbers. So first thing we are going to do is calculate the value of each expression. I have 5 times 7. I'm going to underline them in green because they are both positive, which means my answer is going to be positive. And 5 times 7 is 35. So for the next 3 expressions, I'm multiplying 5 by 7 the whole time. So I actually can just put 35 in for all of those. But what I need to pay close attention to as I move through these is whether there is a negative or a positive in the expression. So first I see I have a negative 5 times a positive 7, and a negative times a positive is negative 35. Then I have a negative and a negative. Negative times a negative is a positive 35. Next, I have division. I've got 35 divided by 7. These are both positive, so I know my answer is also going to be positive. If 5 times 7 is 35, that means 35 divided by 7 is 5. And I'm doing 35 divided by 7 in all of these, so I'm going to put 5 in all of those boxes, and next I'm just going to check my positives and negatives. So I have positive 35, but a negative 7. So a positive and a negative would make a negative. Then I have negative 35 and positive 7. A negative and a positive, when we are dividing, is negative. So patterns I see when multiplying and dividing negative and positive numbers are, I want you to pause here and take a look. Any patterns you see? Patterns I see are that, and these are just going to be our multiplication and division rules. Positive times a positive equals a positive. So positive times positive equals a positive, and the same thing applies for division. So a positive divided by a positive also gives me a positive. So positive divided by a positive gives me a positive. Then I also notice that when I have one of each, a negative and a positive, whether I'm multiplying or dividing, I get a negative. So a negative times a positive gives me a negative, and a negative divided by a positive also gives me a negative. The thing that I want to pay close attention to is if we look in this middle column, the negative was first in this problem and the positive was first in this one. No matter what, our answer is negative because in multiplication and division, order does not matter. If you remember when we were doing subtraction, order does matter. Multiplication and division, order does not matter. And then lastly, when I have a negative and a negative, I get a positive. That is both for division and multiplication. What I like to think of is when I have the same symbol, I get a positive. If you notice here, if I have the same thing going on, I get a positive. When it is different, I get a negative. I'm going to go through a couple examples of multiplying and dividing with fractions before you practice. So multiplying with fractions, I like multiplying with fractions because we just multiply straight across. So 1 times 4 equals 4. 3 times 7 equals 21. So 1/3 times 4/7 would be 4 21st. And that is not actually simplifiable because there's nothing that can go into both 4 and 21. Next, I have a whole number times a fraction. Well, this whole number, I'm actually going to rewrite to be 5 over 1 because it is 5 wholes or 5 divided by 1 times 4 over 7. And same thing as the problem I just did. 5 times 4 equals 20. 1 times 7 equals 7. So this would be 20/7, or 7 goes into 20 twice, 14, and there would be 6 left over. So 7 goes into 20 twice, which would make 14 with 6 left over. Next, we have dividing with fractions. So our rule for dividing with fractions is keep, change, flip. 2/3 I keep. Division changes to multiplication, and the 1/4 flips to be 4 over 1. 2 times 4 equals 8. 3 times 1 equals 3. So this would be 8 over 3. And then practicing. 3 goes into 8 twice. 3 times 2 is 6, which is 2 left over before we get to 8. So 2 2/3. Last one, I have a fraction divided by a whole number. So again, let's rewrite this to be 2 over 1. So we have 3 over 8 divided by 2 over 1. Keep, change, flip. Keep the 3/8, divide, changes to multiply. 2 over 1 flips to be 1 over 2. So I take 3 times 1, which is 3, 8 times 2, which is 16. So 3/8 divided by 2 would be 3/16. What you are going to do next is do the 12 practice problems that are at the bottom of this paper. Once you have finished with those, you are going to pause and get your work checked with a teacher. Check the answer key. Once you have finished that, you will have instructions for what to do next. Please make sure that you have all of these notes down.